Today we will learn about functions in C. Many programs require a group of instructions to be executed repeatedly. These repeated instructions can be placed within a function which can be executed and accessed from different places as required. A computer program cannot handle all the tasks by itself. Instead, it requests other programs like entities to get its tasks done, known as functions. A function is a block of code which has a name and can be reused from any place. Up till now, you have been writing the programs in a single function called main. This works well for small programs. As the complexity of the system increases, the entire program cannot be written in one function but needs to be broken down into several functions, each of which would be performing a specific type of task. These subtasks can be reused as required, and if anything goes wrong, then only one subtask is needed to be checked. Let us understand with the help of an example. When you go to the market, you see different categories of business. For example, a grocery store in which there is probably a single person doing all the tasks. He is buying the goods, selling them, managing the store, taking care of the accounts, etc. If you go to a bigger department store, there would be probably more persons doing different tasks. If you visit a mall, the situation is vastly different. You will find various departments where people are doing specific tasks assigned to them, like recruiting people, handling purchases, sales, marketing, accounts, etc. Students, let us know more. When a function within the body of a function calls itself, it is known as recursion. What difference did you find in a mall? Here, a single person cannot handle all the tasks. So the tasks have been broken down into simple subtasks, and people are specially trained to accomplish one particular task. The boss of such an organization can be considered as the main, whereas each of the departments can be called functions, as each of them handle their own tasks. One important aspect of breaking down the task into subtasks is that they can be reused anytime. In this case, the boss may ask the accounts department to give details of the monthly expenses incurred. The accounts department, on the other hand, may ask the sales department for the sales figures, or the boss himself may ask for the same. In this way, the sales department has been reused. The other important aspect is that if something goes wrong with one department, then the boss will not have to check all the departments, but have to focus only in finding problems in the required department. Let us understand the need of a function with the given program. Hash include stdio.h, void main, curly braces in int n, m, f equals to 1, h equals to 1 semicolon. Print f bracket in double quote in enter any number equals to double quote close bracket close semicolon. Scan f bracket in double quote in %d double quote close and n bracket close semicolon. For bracket in int I equals to n semicolon, n is greater than 0 semicolon, n minus bracket close. F equals to f into n semicolon segment 1. Print f bracket in double quote in factorial number is equal to %d slash n double quote close f bracket close semicolon. Print f bracket in double quote in enter any number equal to double quote close bracket close semicolon. Scan f bracket in double quote in %d double quote close and m bracket close semicolon. For bracket in int j equals to m semicolon, m is greater than 0 semicolon, m minus bracket close. H equals to h into m semicolon segment 2. Print f bracket in double quote in factorial number is equal to %d double quote close h bracket close semicolon, curly braces close. The above program finds the factorial of two integers. First segment is finding the factorial of n, whereas second segment is finding the factorial of m. Notice that both these segments are used for same purpose. It not only increases the length of a program but also occupies more memory space and even creates problem in debugging. In order to avoid such problems, one segment of the code may be written outside of the program and can be applied a number of times in the main program as and when required. Students, do you know by default every function returns an integer type value? Function helps in grouping a number of program statements that perform a coherent task of some kind. Function accepts the data as input, processes it, and gives the result to the user. Every C program consists of a collection of one or more functions, which are given unique names that help to identify them in a program. To execute the statements defined in a function, we simply call the function with its name. Let us understand the execution of functions with a given program. Example 1. Program to display a message on the screen using function. In the above program, two functions are declared. One is main and another is message main function, which is declared inside the main function. When the program execution begins from the main function, it calls the function message main. It means that the control passes to the message main function. During the execution of message main, the activity of main function is temporarily suspended and it goes in sleep mode while the message main function wakes up and goes to work. After executing the message main function, control will go back to the main function again and starts executing its code at the exact point where it left off. Before moving forward, let us first discuss about execution of functions. From the above program, we can conclude that C program can have any number of functions in it. But while compiling a program, the execution always starts from the main. Although a program may contain many functions before the main, yet the compiler automatically finds the main and starts the execution from that point. During the process of execution, whenever a function is called by its name, the program control finds the function and executes its statement. When all the statements written in the function body get executed, the program control automatically comes back to the location from where the function was last called. Students note that the format void main and void main do not require a return statement. Alright, let us talk about advantages of functions. Functions help you to reuse the code by avoiding the practice of rewriting it over and over again. Functions divide the program in smaller modules, thus making it easier to read and debug. Functions reduce the complexity of programs. Functions can be called from anywhere in a program at any number of times. They bring the program control back to the location from where they were last called. This helps the user to understand the flow of control. By using functions, memory space can be efficiently utilized. Portability of program increases by using functions. Efficiency of a program increases by using functions. Students, let us discuss about types of functions. Functions can be broadly classified into two major categories: library functions or built-in functions. User-defined functions. Library functions or built-in functions. These are inbuilt functions which are grouped together and stored in C library. You can make use of these functions to get the predefined output instead of writing your own code. These functions are used to perform basic input or output operations, complex mathematical operations, day-to-day calculations, tasks, and many other operations which can't be performed by user-defined function. Library functions can be called in any program by specifying the associated header file in the beginning of a program. The most commonly used library functions are printf-main, scanf-main, getch-main, etc. For example, if you want to use the printf-main function, the header file studio.h should be included before compiling the C program. Example 2. Program to find the square root of a number using the library function math. User-defined functions. The functions are designed by the user to carry out some specific task. The name of the function is given by the user according to his or her requirement. Hence, it is called user-defined function. The advantage of adding the user-defined function into the C library is that the function will be available for all the C programs once added into it. Students, let us talk how to define functions. To write a program using functions, the following steps are needed: function definition, function calling. Function definition. Function definition contains programming code to perform specific tasks. It is divided into two parts: function prototype, function body. Number 1, function prototype. Just like variables, every function in C programming should be declared before they are used. These types of declarations are called function prototype. Function prototype is the first line of the function definition. It gives information to the compiler about the function name, the types and number of parameters it accepts to receive, and its return type. Let us know more. Function prototype, function header and function calls should be same in number, type, order of parameters and in return type. Example 3, program to add two numbers using functions. In the above example, int add, int a, int b is a function prototype which provides following information to the compiler. Name of the function is add. Return type is int. Two arguments of type int are passed to function. Okay, students, know that the syntax of function prototype and function definition is almost same, except the fact that there is no semicolon at the end of definition and is followed by the function body. Return type. Return is a keyword that specifies the type of value which is expected to return to the program calling function. A function processes data and returns some result. The return type of a function specifies the data type of the result, which is returned by the function. It is the last statement of a function. When it finishes execution, the control moves to the calling statement. The main purpose of the return statement is to send back the result of executed state to the place where the call is made. Some of the functions do not return any value. Hence, the return type of such functions is void. Alright, students, can you quick reply? What do you mean by runtime error? Name of function. Name of the function is used to uniquely identify the function in a program. In terms of good programming practice, the function name must be self-explanatory with respect to its functionality. It must reflect its exact behavior, that is, what the function will do. Parameter list. The parameter list declares the variables that accept value from the calling function and passes it to the function for internal computation. The parameter list contains variables along with the data type, separated by commas. All the parameters should be preceded by their data types, even if they are of same type. Example, if there are three int parameters called a, b, and c, the parameter list should be written as int a, int b, and int c. Number 2, function body. The body of the function contains the block of statements within curly braces which are used to carry out some action. These statements gets executed when function is called in a program. Example 4. Write a function to print message on the screen. Let me tell you about parameters and arguments. C functions exchange information by means of parameter and argument. The term parameter refers to any declaration within parentheses following the function names given in the function declaration parameters, also known as formal parameters. Parameters are separated by commas, whereas the term argument or actual argument refers to any expression within parentheses or the value supplied in the function call. Whenever the function is called, values stored in actual arguments are passed to the formal parameters. Students, let us take a discussion on arguments versus parameters. Example 5. Write a program to find the area of a circle. Students, let us know more. An empty parameter list indicates that a function does not receive any value during its call. If you consider the above program, float r defined in the function of definition will be considered as parameter, whereas variable d inside the function call is considered as argument. Function calling. When a piece of code invokes or calls a function, it is called calling a function. Syntax: function name, bracket in, list of parameters, bracket close, semicolon. To execute all the statements defined in the function body, a function must be called or invoked. When a program calls a function, the program control is transferred to the call function along with the required parameters. A call function performs a defined task, and when it returns statement is executed, or when the program control reaches to the function ending with closing brace, it returns the program control back to the location from where the function call was made. Students, let us understand different ways of calling functions. There are two different ways of calling a function. Call by a value. By now you are familiar with how to call function. But if you observe carefully, you will find that whenever you called a function and pass something to it, you have always passed values of variables to the call function. Such functions are called call by a value. Let us understand the concept of call by a value with the help of a given program. Example 6. Create a function to swap two numbers using call by a value. Let us start from the call to swap function. Swap a, b. This line calls a swap function and passes the value of a 10 and b 20 to it. The call will cause the control to pass the header of swap main, which is void swap int p1, int p2. The value of a will be passed to p1 and b will be passed to. So now the values of p1 and p2 are 10 and 20 respectively. Inside the swap main, the values of p1 and p2 are swapped using the third variable t. This means the values of p1 and p2 becomes 20 and 10. The printf main displays the values accordingly. When the control goes back to the main, the original values of a and b are displayed as 10 and 20. It means that the values passed to parameters in this way do not change if the parameters are changed. The swap function has swapped the parameters p1 and p2 in swap main, but there is no effect on a and b in main. This works something like this. Example: if someone asks for your certificates and you give him photocopies of them, even if he makes on the photocopies or destroy them, but the originals will not be affected. Students, note the fact file. Each function in a program is called in the sequence specified by the function calls in main function. Call by reference. As you know that variables are stored in memory, so instead of passing the value to a variable, you can pass the location number, also called address of the variable, to a function. This process is known as call by reference. Example 7. Create a function to swap two numbers using call by reference. Let us go back to the certificates example. When someone asks for your certificates and instead of giving him photocopies, you give him the location of your certificate where they are lying. You tell him that they are in the top drawer of the study table. He goes to the top drawer and scribbles on the certificate. Do your original certificates change? Yes, certainly. Alright students, let us take a quick quiz. What is the difference between local and global variables? This is what has happened to the variables a and b. Instead of passing values, we have passed the addresses and a and b. The addresses are received by pointers into P1 and into P2. You may assume pointers to be like variables, but they store addresses and you have to access the values using the asterisk. They are actually referring to the variables whose addresses have been passed to them. The values of asterisk P1 and asterisk P2 are changed in the swap main. As asterisk P1 is pointing to A, the value of A changes, and so does B when asterisk P2 changes. When the control passes back to main, the values of A and B are displayed as changed. Values of A and B after swapping will be 20 and 10.